Okay, this is effectively a part two to the last audio video. So I suppose the first thing is a shout out to Simplicity Reveal channel, to Julia. Now it's a 9-minute 27-second long video, so you've got your 9 and your 2 and 7, so your double 9. It's completion, it's the divine 7, and it gives you a perfect briefest summary of what Archaix Channel is talking about the 138 years, the 108, the 1080, the palindrome of this reality. But remember, there's no shortcuts. If you want to get a full understanding of things, start with that video, have a listen to that, and then put some time and effort in. That's what this lockdown was all about. You can see it from a fearful perspective, and you can waste time doing online casinos or whatever bright lights of the virtual Las Vegas is offering you in the external. Or you can put that time to good use and do something for yourself out of it. It's not being selfish. When you think that we're basically magnetic, so what you're radiating out from that inner core of that magnet, because remember, things stick to the outside of a magnet, but the power is that sort of hourglass. If we take the apple as an analogy of a magnet, and you've got your flows going out from the top, going both directions, your positive and your negative. But of course things are not in black and white. They might appear to be in this realm, but there's an awful amount of grey shades in the middle. And although they seem to be phenomenally large grey shades between the black and the white, it's actually quite small, and it's like the sort of core of an apple, shall we say. So the other part of this is going back to the sleep paralysis, and again, put the time in, do yourself a favour so you can get an understanding of these things. Again, Rudolf Steiner, your 4 aspects, your 4 bodies. You've got your physical body, and then you've got your 3 invisible bodies, your etheric, your astral, and your eye organisation. So though you are part of a whole, a collective, we could say in a macro and a micro sense of this, that we are individuals, we live in separate buildings, separate box rooms, but we're part of a whole, we're part of something bigger. So we're basically, our higher self is like the video players, and your character is your little I, lower I self contained in a physical body that contains the other 3 parts. So to reiterate again, that's your physical body, your etheric body, your astral body, and your I organisation, or your superego, as it were. Now, a lot of people are triggered by this word ego, and there's a lot of talk about killing the ego, but if you think of this realm as being a diagnostic as opposed to a realm that has perfection, so you cannot experience what we would perceive as being evil from the lower I sense. So this realm of duality is a perfect place to contain it and to experience it. Now, going back to Rudolf Steiner again, how things are reversed. So seeing the light, the sun is seen as a life giver, but as Rudolf Steiner shows, and if you think about this, how creation is in this realm. If you look at plants, the seeds are placed into darkness in which they start to grow. So in some senses, the life giver is the darkness. In the physical sense, with a baby, it is a seed of a man going into a woman that starts the creation of that physical body of a fetus. And it starts to grow in the darkness. Then it comes out into this external world where it's faced with all the external perceived problems. So again, going back to Jason on the Archaix Channel, you can see how you have this duality of basically a computer simulation that is running, and you also have a macro version where you have your free will in which you can find a path through it. As I said on the last video, it's finding that neutral path. So going back also to what I said on the last video about the sleep paralysis. If you react to it, so you consciously awake in the mind and you think, shit, I can't move, I'm in a panic. Well, that's where you turn inward and you stand back from yourself, you observe yourself, and you look at the situation and you think, what is going on here? Because there's nothing to be frightened of. I didn't come to any harm, otherwise we wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't be able to make this video. I'd be dead or whatever in this realm. But I've gone through the experience once before of that sleep paralysis. So it puts me in a better position to say, hold on a minute, what is going on here? So I can then call on what I've learned about the four bodies and how in sleep that the physical and the etheric bodies stay here and the astral and the eye organisation go off into, shall we say, the cosmic realm, the astral realm, and go and do their thing. Probably reporting back to your higher self of the experiences, like a daily diary, shall we say. Sorry, this is all over the place. This is just the way it comes. This is the equivalent of like a Google Cloud with information, except it's not with a Wi-Fi connection, it's not with an Ethernet connection, it is with a connection between higher and lower self of communication. And the physical vessel is just expressing it. You see, when I look in the mirror, I can look back at old videos and yeah, okay, I recognise the outer shell, but at the same time I don't recognise the outer shell, because as Ken on the Archaix Channel has said, that thing you see in the mirror is not you. It's just an avatar. And I feel very aware of that I sat in town yesterday and I went off to sleep, and I was on a like a cruise. And I sort of came back, although I could hear all the sounds and things, and it's like, where am I? Oh yeah, I'm back here again. I sort of separated, gone into like a meditation, but not to a point where I'd severed the connection and severed the astral connection. That's all death is. It's when you leave that physical vessel, because everything in this realm is subject to time. It goes through a process from birth to death. And then you do that eternal dance, not the dance of life, but you do the dance with death, where you then will go on to report back your experiences of this realm, and that will then decide whether you want to come back in again, whether you've got more lessons to learn here. And if you start seeing things from that perspective, you'll see that you won't actually come to any harm, because you are an eternal being. And yes, the physical senses will tell you something is real. It's like Ken the Archaix Channel has shown you. You are not the broadcast signal is not in the radio. You can smash the radio up and the broadcast signal is still out there, but you've lost the equipment to detect it. It's expressed in spiritually as tuning in. Well, what do you do with the radio? If you want to pick up a particular frequency or a particular station, you tune into it. Doesn't mean that the other frequencies aren't there. And oh, here we go, the ear ringing has gone up. So that was something else I wanted to talk about in this, was this ringing in the ears again. I would say what you're actually getting is what Jason on Archaix Channel talks about the Phoenix event, and whether you'll be taken, as it were, or whether you'll get through it in the physical vessel you happen to be in now. It's only 18 years away. So if you feel no fear, you're not tuned into that frequency. You're tuned into a higher frequency, your higher self frequency. And that's basically all it is. It's actually a very simple answer, but the duality is it's made conscious. But I think it's also apparent in this, with this fulcrum point, this tipping point, where the collective, i.e. the number of us that wake up to see that this reality is not as it's presented, also means that as much as create something, we're also destroying something. So we are, shall we say, the Satans, the devils, the destroyers of this world, because it's had its time. It's served its purpose of, it's serving you because you have found that it's not the way it was intended, or not how life should be. And you found that out for yourself, that realization that that is what this experience is. But it's up to you. You have the free will. You can feel the fear. It's said that pain, the brain doesn't actually feel pain. It is just your senses, through touch, through feeling in the physical, will express it, and the brain will decode that and interpret that as pain. But generally speaking, most people would, on law of averages, is that you die in your sleep. So there is no real pain, even if it's just a temporary, brief moment that will pass very quickly. Hopefully it won't be in horrific situations like a war, but again, that's down to choices. But if you tune into your higher self and go with that gut feeling that is guiding you, you'll probably find that you'll be moved and taken out of the equation of a scenario where there's something horrific going on. You just go with the flow of that gut or God feeling. It's your best guide. It's not a case of listen to somebody else. Yes, do listen, because it's duality. Listen to those that will put it in a way that makes sense to you. So you're offered all kinds of ways of finding it, but many of them are false. All that glitters is not gold. So you can go down the science route, you can go down the religious route, you can go down the historical route. Just to end this, you've got a jigsaw puzzle. And I mean, if you look at 1,000 or 2,000 piece jigsaw puzzle, no matter which way up the bits are, but you'll see that pattern replicates, and you'll find that there are pieces of the puzzle that are identical in shape in the notches and the cutout bits. And they will fit together, but the picture won't make sense. You will make sense, you'll get things to fit together. So as far as history goes, and all these things that are loosely termed as conspiracy theories, you can get the bits to fit, but they become rabbit holes. They are stepping stones to walk across this water. Think of them as like lily pads. And you're rising above. You're not sinking in that water. You're sinking in thoughts with other people. Your higher selves, because we are one, are connecting, and you're coming to the same answers because you've tuned in to that higher self, that higher conscious, that all is one aspect of ourselves. And that's basically all you need to do to get through it, is weigh things up. Be like the scales of justice, the scales of Libra. She's blindfolded. She's your divine feminine, your subconscious. The true sight is in the feeling, how you feel about things, what you have imported, what you have ingested. It's mind food, it's heart food. What you feel at your soul level. It's just saying the same thing it's all in English, but it's very different languages. Those that will hear it will hear it. Those that aren't on the right frequency won't hear it. And you can say it as many times as you like to them, but you cannot impose upon their free will. They have to find it for themselves. You can only guide. And just live that dream. Okay, in some ways, and from certain perspectives, certainly from a material perspective, a lot of people would look at my position and say, you're not doing very well for yourself. Actually, I am. I'm doing very well. And yes, I'm getting help, but it's reciprocal. It's all to do with the magnetics of what you're sending out from the heart. And it will attract the same frequency back. And in ways, really magical ways that the mortal mind cannot predict. I'll give you one very brief example. I went in town yesterday. I'd had the thought that I'd like a cigarette rather than a hand-rolled cigarette. And it didn't appear to be happening until I'd got back, and then I realised I needed to go back out again to the local shop to get some tobacco and get some milk. And I bumped into somebody I know, and they gave me a couple of cigarettes. See how magical is that? Even that, something as simple as that, can just happen in a way when all seems lost. As long as you hold that feeling, as Neville Goddard says, the secret is in the feeling. If you feel it, if you remember the future, you picture it playing out in your mind. Now, I didn't visualise the specifics, because the devil's in the detail. I didn't visualise who or how I would actually get that cigarette. I just had the feeling of what would it be like if I had that cigarette in my hand now and I was smoking it and I was enjoying it. And yeah, all this thing about harmful may cause cancer. No, just look at what nature does. It adapts. So all this fear side about talking about chemtrails, as I said before, do you not think that might be adapting you to get through a situation? Is this life not all about experience? What is good and what is bad, really, from that point of view? Are you doing harm to yourself? You weigh it up and it's how you feel about it. You've got a system overwrite on an individual level with the mind and the heart and the gut. When you get those three in alignment, you're not going to come to any harm unless you import fear, because fear feeds on fear. Well, if you don't feed fear, then it can't take a root. It can't take root. Same with a virus. The conditions have got to be right for that to thrive. So, going back to another Rudolf Steiner analogy, the cows are only there because the conditions are right for that meadow to grow, that will draw the cows to go and graze in that meadow. If the conditions aren't right, that meadow won't grow and the cows won't come. So again, that's another analogy, another way of showing that just stay neutral. You choose how you feel about things. You can find that neutral path. And out of that neutral path, you can find what this duality is all about. You can find a way through it, and you can go through your micro within the macro, within this physical existence, birth to death experience. And I'd have to say that I think I might even come round again, because this is actually really fun. It's an ultimate video game, if you think about it, to play and have fun. And it's a game changer on... I don't see anything horrific as such anymore. I see perspectives. And I choose to see a better perspective on things, and I certainly feel better about life through it. And again, the secret is in the feeling. And we've gone up to 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes. I think we'll stop there, because that's rather a lot. So I will say love to you all, and I hope that has helped you make sense of things. I hope it has given you some ways to look at things and how to use your time that suits you best to get through this. Just adapt the blueprint of what I'm saying to your individual situation, because it is all individual experiences. There, 21 minutes. That's a perfect time to stop. 21. Pay 21s, not 19s. Ta-ta for now.